99% of clothing brands will fail in these 3 very specific ways. And when I say fail, I just mean that they start up, they never really get any traction, they never really make any sales, and then they just die. And I know this because I've worked with thousands of clothing brands over the years, and I've seen this trend over and over again. And so in this video, I'm going to share with you the exact 3 ways that most clothing brands fail so that you can avoid doing these 3 things within your own brand and so that you can grow continuously over the years. Apparel Success is sponsored by my buds over at BrandCrowd. BrandCrowd's a logo maker tool. You type in the name of the logo that you want to have made, hit enter, thousands of logos will come up. You choose the logo that you like, then you can edit and refine that logo as long as you want for free until it's perfect. This is a Hundo P design I made for my own clothing brand using BrandCrowd. If you're interested, head over to brandcrowd.com/apparel success and you can get up to 66% off at checkout. All right, without wasting any of your time here, the first way that clothing brands fail is they give up too soon because they haven't put in enough effort to see any results yet. And this is very similar to when people get a sudden burst of motivation that they want to start getting healthy and go to the gym. It feels really good, that excitement. I want to start doing this. I'm going to start doing this. And then they start going to the gym and they realize how hard it is to actually be consistent going to the gym and watching their diet and everything that they eat. And they realize it's really hard. And maybe they're consistent with it for like 2 weeks and then they start to fall off and then the results stop coming. They never end up actually seeing any results and then they give up. It's very similar with the clothing brand space. What happens is you start up a clothing brand because you're all excited about the success that you want to achieve, about the impact that you want to make, how big you're going to grow this thing, and how it's all just going to explode. When you launch your clothing brand, what happens a lot of times is this is a very hard industry. Entrepreneurship is very difficult. It takes a lot of consistency, a lot of really strategic planning, and you realize after you start just how hard it is, just how much work it is. And maybe you put in like a month's worth of posts on Instagram or on TikTok and you're not getting the results that you want to. And most brands at this point will just give up. I've seen this in hundreds of brands that I've worked with online and friends that start up brands where they start up a clothing brand and then a month goes by and they're just done. Like they've just completely abandoned the whole thing. And to be completely honest with you, I know that this is the case and that you're in a really vulnerable place emotionally, mentally around your journey at right around that like 3 to 6 month stage, because when I was in that stage, I was really close to giving up. Like I remember at around the 6 month point, me and my partner sitting down being like, this is hard. It's not going the way that we want to. We've barely made any sales. We're not growing this thing nearly as fast as we thought it would. Every little sort of image that we'd pictured in our head for how this would go, it was completely different than how it was going. And we were really close to giving up. And thankfully, we just said, screw it. Let's just try another hoodie. Let's just try something different. Let's post in a different way. Let's make some different content. And we finally, after getting over that dip, managed to get a little bit of traction that gave us some pretty serious motivation that took us to year 2, to year 3, to year 4, up to year 7. So this is a very common thing. There's a great book called The Dip by Seth Godin. I believe it's only like 80 pages long. It's a super short read, but it talks about how every entrepreneurial journey, you start the business, then you face all these realities. It's not as easy as you thought it would be, and you go into this dip. And there's this crucial point at the bottom of this dip where you have to decide, is this idea worth pursuing with full effort here and really giving it everything that I have, or should I drop this idea? And most companies that keep pushing after this usually hit a huge upswing right after that moment. And it may be a good idea right when you hit that dip to realize maybe this isn't the right idea. Maybe I need to switch up the idea or switch up the brand concept, but it's a very common reason why most people fail. And so it's really good to be aware that this is just a common thing that people go through. You don't need to freak out or think that, you're going through something unique. My recommendation is to push through a few more months if you reach that point and really just give your brand the effort that it deserves. Just give it the effort that it deserves to get even those first chunk of results that will give you the motivation to continue forward. Because if you're doing this for a year and you still haven't made a single sale yet for your brand, clearly something needs to change, something needs to be shaken up, and you need to really alter the way that you're going. And this leads perfectly into the second reason that most clothing brands fail, which is they just have a bad idea that really is offering the industry no true innovation. Like there's a lot of clothing brands that start up and they have these brand concepts that aren't offering real value. Because when you sell clothing, clothing is a very particular type of value that you can offer people. It's very rare that you find clothing brands that are built entirely on utility value, like a brand that is serving a perfect utility function. Most clothing brands are built on social proof, on brand identity or brand story, and connecting with people emotionally. So it's almost all these more abstract, like beneath the surface reasons why people buy. Whereas obviously if you're selling a hammer, it's like, this hammer will hit the nail into the wall. That's why you want to buy it. There's no need for social proof. And so people come up with these ideas for clothing brands that just don't have any value that pertains to wearing clothing. Like, for example, if you tried to create a lifestyle brand for people who like to go for walks on the beach, it's like, maybe people do like to go for walks on the beach, but there's really no real lifestyle around that, like just going for walks on the beach. And so you may try to build a whole brand that's emotionally connecting with these people, but it's just not deep enough. There's no real incentive for people to want to buy that brand or wear that brand or identify with that brand. And so you end up having a sort of a brand that you've built that might look great, have cool designs and things like that, but nobody can emotionally resonate with. And there's so many different nuances to this, but I hope you get the gist that the level of innovation that you're coming out with and the accuracy that you're matching your clothing brand concept with a particular target demographic is obviously a huge component in all of this. Having that beautiful product market fit where the market has like a real desperate desire to want to join your tribe and to want to connect with whatever identity your brand is portraying is a really key insight into why most brands fail. They build a brand that people just truly don't want, don't need, don't connect with. So avoid doing that. And the third reason why most clothing brands fail is because of operational complexity. There's actually a lot more supply chain complexity and operational complexity than I think a lot of new clothing brands realize. When you start up a clothing brand, let's say you launch with 12 different products. Well, you might have 12 different products that you're selling, which seems like not that many, but each of those products then likely has small, medium, large, extra large, double extra large, triple extra large. So you've got 6 different SKUs per product and 12 different products. It becomes really operationally complex. And you also have to have these relationships with your suppliers and have everything streamlined in that way. And I know that as my clothing brand started to grow, like once we got up to $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a month in sales, figuring out how to manage all of the operations for my brand became the biggest challenge in my business. Whereas at first, the biggest challenge in your business is just getting sales. Like you're just trying to get anybody to buy from you. But once you start to get it rolling, you enter into this whole other realm of challenges, which is, wow, I need to actually fulfill all of these orders, and I need to make sure that the customer experience is really good and that people are getting their orders on time, that there's customer support that can handle all of these orders that are going out all the time and manage all of the operations. This is literally why I partnered with my friend's fulfillment company who handles all of the operations for my brand, is because that is not a strength of mine. I was running into challenges with it as I was growing my brand, and I also just didn't enjoy it. So I might as well get somebody who has a background in operations, who knows how this stuff works, to take care of it and make sure that it's all streamlined. And so that's just something that you might run into at some point. These are the 3 main areas that your clothing brand will fail. Giving up too soon when you first start because you don't realize how hard growing a clothing brand actually is and you hit a wall and just give up. The second is having a bad idea with no innovation that's not actually going after a particular audience that wants your clothing. And the third is operational complexity. As you're growing your brand, things start to get a little bit more intense and a little bit more serious. If you can anticipate this in advance, then you know that these are challenges that you can expect to face, problems that you have to solve, and problems that you have to overcome. And you should be able to attack this with much more open eyes and hopefully last much longer in this space. So I really hope that that helps. I spent a full month recording a 100% free clothing brand course for anybody starting up a clothing brand right now. All you have to do to get access is go to freeclothingcourse.com. You can go through it at your own pace. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.